The prophet Abraham struggled with Nemrud. Nemrud looked down at the prophet Abraham and asked him jokingly, "Tell me, young man, who is your God? What does he do?" The prophet Abraham replied seriously and said, "My Allah is the one who gives life and takes life. It is in Allah's hands to take life and bring back to life." These words made Nemrud laugh even more. "You call that something? I can kill and bring back to life too." He then ordered his men to go and find 2 men. They did as they were told, and after a while they found and brought 2 poor men. Nemrud asked one of his men to kill one of them. He kept the other man alive and also gave him money and goods. They let him go as a rich man. He then turned to Abraham and his men and said, "Did you see that? I killed one of them and spared the other his life and gave him money and goods. In that case, I am the God that Abraham is talking about." Nemrud hadn't actually understood what Abraham was trying to say when he used the words giving life and taking life. Nemrud tried to show in a very basic way what the prophet Abraham had said. Abraham wanted to put Nemrud in his place in reply to these ignorant words. He had to understand that he couldn't be God by killing someone under his order and then sparing someone else's life. With this in mind, he made Nemrud a challenge, saying, "Dear Nemrud, Allah, whom I believe in, makes the sun rise in the east. If you really are a god, then make the sun rise in the west." Nemrud didn't know what to do about this unexpected challenge. He was surprised and couldn't say a thing. He was humiliated in front of his men and started shaking from anger. He had to get his revenge on Abraham. He had to kill him in such a way that it would be remembered. After this, no one would be able to say anything to him about being a god. No one should have the courage to say anything against him. He gathered his advisors and followers together and had a discussion about this situation. They eventually decided to throw the prophet Abraham into a fire and burn him. They needed to choose a suitable place to do it. They would gather plenty of firewood, light a big fire and throw Abraham into it. In this way, his punishment would be remembered by everyone. The fire that doesn't burn the prophet Abraham. Nemrud ordered his people to gather firewood. He announced to everyone that the prophet Abraham was to be punished by being thrown into a big fire. At the order, the people started to gather firewood and soon made a huge pile like a mountain. The wood was set alight and the fire was getting bigger and bigger every minute. The heat of the fire could be felt from far away. The sky had turned bright red and it was impossible to get near the fire. So a big catapult was set up on the top of a hill nearby. They were going to throw Abraham into the fire using the catapult. Everyone in the city had gathered around the fire to watch the terrifying event. They were watching with both fear and excitement. The prophet Abraham was finally placed into the catapult. Everyone was waiting for Nemrud's order for the catapult to be fired. At that moment, the mountains, rocks, angels, and all creatures were begging and pleading with Allah to save the prophet Abraham's life. "Dear Allah, there is only Abraham who believes in you in this corrupt tribe. Now they will burn him. Give us permission to help Abraham." Allah told them, "I know better than you all. If he asks help from you, then you can help him. However, if he trusts in me, that will be all he needs." Finally, Nemrud gave the expected order, and the catapult was released. The prophet Abraham started flying towards the fire. When he was thrown from the catapult, he didn't show any fear or worry. The only thing he said was, "Hasbunallah ve nimel vekil," meaning Allah's help will be enough. I only rely on and trust in him. He didn't feel the need to take refuge from anyone else but Allah. Of course, Allah wouldn't leave the prophet Abraham by himself and helpless, and he didn't. While the Prophet Abraham was flying towards the fire, the order of Allah helped him. O fire, be cool and harmless for Abraham. Don't burn him. Upon this order, the fire didn't burn the Prophet Abraham. A cool area in the middle of the fire appeared, and the Prophet Abraham survived there without any problem at all. While the Prophet Abraham was being thrown, the people applauded Nemrud, and when he fell into the fire, they began celebrating. They were laughing and saying, Abraham was threatening us with fire. Now he has been burnt. Abraham remained in the fire for 7 days. Abraham remembered those days, saying, those were the most pleasurable moments of my life. Nemrud was very happy to be rid of the Prophet Abraham. A 1-week holiday was announced, and all the people were to eat, drink and be merry. They were going to celebrate the day that they got rid of Abraham. The fire was still burning with huge flames, but not a single person was aware that the Prophet Abraham was still alive. They thought that he had been burnt up as soon as he fell into the fire. Eventually, after about a week, when the flames started to go down, they saw that the Prophet Abraham was still alive. Their eyes popped out in amazement. Abraham was worshipping and performing salat in the middle of the fire. He was praying to Allah. The fire hadn't done the slightest bit of harm to him. The miracle of not being burnt by fire. The people of Babylon were shocked to see Abraham get out of the fire alive. They didn't know what to do or say. To see Abraham coming out of the flames alive was evidence that he really was a prophet. However, the people of Babylon were evil, and they worshipped the stars and the idols. They were copying what their ancestors had done. They eventually found an excuse for the Prophet Abraham's miracle too. They said, "That man is the devil himself. We cannot burn him, for he is made of fire. Let's get out of here. He may burn us too." The miracle of not being burnt by fire had made the people think that Abraham was the devil. However, some people thought he had magical powers. They were trying to find all sorts of excuses not to believe him. We can say that people sometimes like to ignore things that don't appear to be in their best interests. They tend to find excuses for their denials. The people of Babylon were a good example. Not being burnt by fire was the most glorious miracle of Abraham. We have learnt a lot from that. Firstly, the miracle shows us that nothing in nature acts on its own. We can also say that things such as forces are created by Allah. There are 4 major elements in nature: air, water, fire and earth. The fire hadn't burnt Abraham by Allah's order. Do not burn Abraham. The same thing is true for the other elements. Air was under the order of the Prophet Solomon. Solomon flew with wind when he liked. He went wherever he liked in this way. The Prophet Moses used to bring water from wherever he struck his staff. For that reason, we can say that there is no element in nature that acts on its own. These elements act by the order of holy power, for they were created by Allah. The second lesson we can take from the miracle is that when Allah ordered the fire not to burn the Prophet, he said, "Be cool but gentle." If Allah had ordered the fire to be cool, the fire would have got so cold that Abraham would then die of cold. By meaning gentle, he meant not to be harmful. The heat had dropped to a reasonable degree and remained like that. For that reason, the element of fire has both powers to burn with heat and cold. However, to be burnt by cold is not called burning, it is called freezing. The third lesson. The world we live in is the world of wisdom. Allah does all things by that law and order. One of the wisdoms of Allah is the way he uses causes and the laws of nature as a disguise for his power. The causes and laws may not be seen at first look, even though they are the makings of Allah. Although the miracles reflect Allah's power by opening a little door. They do not take off the disguise as a whole. For that reason, when the fire didn't burn Abraham, it didn't burn his shirt either. Allah had stopped the shirt from being burnt. If the shirt had caught fire and Abraham hadn't, that would have been against that wisdom. For something to be in order with wisdom, Allah had given the shirt that characteristic too. For that reason, the shirt then passed to the prophet Isaac, to the prophet Jacob, and then to his son, the prophet Joseph. One of the purposes of miracles is to encourage people to advance in the material sense and to make similar miracles. Many technical inventions and innovations were inspired by the miracles given to the prophets by Allah. The Prophet Abraham's shirt, which was fireproof, reveals that it is possible to find materials resistant to fire in nature. Many materials have been found in our days and have been used in technological advances.